Welcome to the Sunday edition of Talking Horses. Good to be with you. Greg Wolf, Acacia Clement. Good to see you as well as we get set for a Pick 6 carryover. That begins in race 5, over 31,000 carried over from yesterday.
There were some really big prices yesterday throughout the card, so well done if you hit some of those. And we have a good Pick 6 carryover to look forward to. That'll be a lot of fun. Tricky sequence as well. A lot of 2-year-old races. Of course, with the stakes for the fillies and the boys attempted in the Nashua today. So looking forward to it.
We had carryover potentials that didn't happen, but in the late Pick 5 yesterday, there are actually 4 horses that would have resulted in the Pick 5. That's how difficult it was, that sequence on the Saturday card. Before we get into it, your favorite performance from the weekend?
I would say, Flightline was spectacular, but the story behind Cody's Wish and the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was just really amazing to see Cody Dorman and his family in the winner's circle. So emotional, so special. So that was really, really nice to see.
And of course, for a lot of people, it's Flightline, just dominant again. 121 buyer for the victory. Probably done. There'd been talk. There was initially a few months ago talk they're going to bring back as a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Then
it became maybe we'd see him in the Pegasus. He's worth $60 to $80 million now, so it's going to be hard to say let's continue on.
It seemed like all along throughout the latter part of this year, the goal had been to at least run in the Pegasus World Cup, which is in January, given the spacing of Flightline's races typically. It does make sense. It's a large purse of a race. I'm sure that they'd be happy to do some sort of incentive to get him to run there. I wouldn't be surprised. And I hope that he does. For fans, having the opportunity to see him come back even at the start of the year would be really, really special. I realize he's worth so much, but I don't know if we're ever going to see a horse like him in our lifetime again. So for the fans of racing, I hope we have the opportunity to see him run at least one more time. Yeah,
just special performance. What I think is 6 wins by 71 lengths, something like that.
Incredible.
Unreal. Let's go through our promotions before we get into this Sunday card. And to get signed up started, of course, you go to Naira Bets, $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. The code now to use, match200, and get that $200 in your account. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get a bonus today, too. $25 bonus in your account for betting $75 each on Aqueduct, Woodbine, and Santa Anita. So bet that $75 on each of those 3 tracks, and you'll get $25 per track. So win or lose, by the way. Opt in. And the Pick 6 carryover. That begins race 5, $31,820 carryover. That begins in race number 5, post time. Let me double check.
146.
Thank you. And we're on today. We'll have it all, including that Pick 6. FS2 coverage begins 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So we will see you then. Look forward to it.
Should be a fun day.
So we got to zip through this because we got to get back on the air.
I know. we got a busy day ahead for us.
All right, so let's opener on this card begins with a $75,000 maiden claiming race here. Mile and a 16th on the inner turf. We just heard 2 inner turf rail. It is way out there, 32 feet this afternoon. You have gone to Addressable Market. Chad Brown, really?
Yeah, shocker, for him to potentially win a race. And do note, we haven't gotten scratches yet. Nobody has. So we're not sure if all of these horses are running that we're talking about. But as far as Addressable Market is concerned, this filly does drop. I realize that it's just the second start for her. But looking at her first race where she did take money, which makes sense given that she ran August at Monmouth, wasn't out the fastest, and then she was wide, she was hard to settle. Just thinking second time out, she has maybe a little bit more blue sky. certainly respect Tall Girl, and see, we can take a look at her race from Delaware last time out. Felt like she should have gotten the job done then. She has a good turn of foot. Can she get to the winner's circle?
Going to be coming from very far back. She's still in this race too. I think we saw it. She's still a little just unsure of herself, it seems like. A little green. And winds up only missing by a neck. Not the quickest pace in the world. Christophe Clement, you expect to see improvement here. I like her. She's my top pick in this spot. As we go back to Addressable Market real quick, she ran on really well late, I thought. And there's maybe a little more upside there, too, because it's just her second start. Horse that beat her. Race that was taken off the turf. It was a stake at Monmouth, though.
Yep. Born Dapper. I think it's fine. I think it's a productive enough race. Are you hearing a metronome right now? It's very, very distracting. You have Words of Praise, who looks to be the main speed for Mike Maker. I thought the this one's 2 races were okay. And then Cookie Crumbs back on the turf certainly has license to improve. For me, I thought it was between Addressable Market and Tall Girl.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, certainly the 7. And I think a lot of people are going to lean on those 4 maybe. In terms of playing multi-race exotics, especially the Pick 5. Cookie Crumbs, Pleasant Passage. I mean, that's a Shug horse who won the Miss Grillo next time out. That's who this one faced. It was only her only start on the grass. Pletcher, Arad, there's upside there, but we'll see. Tall Girl. I guess the concern for her is she going to get the pace to run out here.
That's for sure. I would imagine words of praise is going to be the speed. Let's see if anybody else decides to be forward. Maybe even Here We Go Again, who did show a little speed in her second start, but not last time.
All right, so that kicks off the card, including that early Pick 5. Pick 4 begins with a maiden special weight in race 2 here. It's a 6-furlong sprint. I really wanted to go with the 1 because
Me
of this
too.
pedigree here. Really wanted to, but then I looked back at the 4, and we're going to see that race, I would imagine, in a moment. Let's just talk pedigree, though, real quick with the 1. Bill Mott, first-time starter, a gun runner out of okay, we'll go to the 4 first.
Login required. This one did cross the wire first on debut, though he was disqualified, and you will get to see him here. Really comes over, cuts off the momentum. You can see that horse in the black cap and the yellow silk steadying back there, and then he actually drifts again coming to the rail. He was clear at this point, but obviously still very green and kind of an exaggerated reaction to a right-hand riding crop, so he was disqualified on debut. He has the experience. I thought it was interesting that the blinkers come off. Sometimes, especially for young horses, the blinkers almost make them a little too sharp, and maybe it's a little bit of a Jose Camejo wanting him to see his competition a little bit more. I think the firsters are the most intriguing in this spot. Let's just see if Login Required can keep things on a straight course today.
Yeah, he hit 4 wide around that turn, too, so I think we're going to see improvement. Plus, you don't know, maybe he didn't even love that sloppy track.
That's
He
very
may even
fair.
improve off that. But back to the 1 in the pedigree here. So Out of Caressing produced West Coast, who won the Travers. A horse named Goldhawk was a 12-time winner, including the first couple of starts, and was third in the LeCompte early on.
Juan and Bina. Don't forget about Juan and Bina.
Okay.
In the family as well. Grade 3 placed horse. Yeah, this one has a huge pedigree by Gunrunner. That last work was very sharp too, especially for a Bill Mott firster. I'll be excited to see this one. This is the one I'm most intrigued by as far as the pedigree in this race.
Are you getting info on these works? Because I don't have anything on them.
I don't, unfortunately. I miss
Okay.
being at Saratoga when you have the opportunity to see
Yeah.
all the works on NXP TV and get the clocker reports and everything.
I bring
so,
it up
yeah.
because of, is it Mercante or Mercante?
Mercant, I believe, yeah.
Obviously looks like a very big drill, but the 3 as well. First timer for Tom Morley. 3 back. August 15th, Belmont Training Track. Quickest of 208 out of the gate.
I actually liked this one's 2-year-old sales work too. Went at the Fasig-Tipton Timonium 2-year-old sale for $75,000 and worked 10 and 3. And at that Timonium sale, that's a conventional dirt track, whereas the OBS sales you're going to be on synthetic tracks. So sometimes with those dirt track 2-year-old works, you're going to see them be a little bit slower. So I don't put so much into that, but I like the way that he did it. He was a really pretty mover, a little bit high-headed, but he lowered himself nicely after that. I thought that this one was intriguing as well. I put him 3rd, though, of course, again, the pedigree goes to the 1.
Dam was an 8-time winner. 5 of those coming on the dirt for the 3. We are exactly the same in this spot. That is
So
rare.
bet anybody else.
Yeah, I'm probably going to lean 1-4, but that 3 with that work is interesting. Race 3, we ready?
Ready.
All right, it's Mile, Tempted for 2-year-old fillies, and I don't see anybody beating Good Sam in this
Yeah.
spot. Crypto Mama, though, is a little interesting with the speed. Faced Almarosa last time out, who ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, was 30-1 morning line. But Good Sam's race was just so good. This horse broke very sharp from the rail, got pressed a little bit by Spelterini, and I felt like wasn't really asked much in the stretch.
I thought it was interesting, and we can take a look at that race for Good Sam. Now, as far as the pedigree does go, she's by Good Samaritan, who's a grade stakes winner on turf and dirt, of course, and this was a wet track debut, but she just did it so easily going away. You're going to see her start swapping her leads and getting a little bit erratic in the stretch. This is a young filly, a 2-year-old, looked like right there she really reacted to the riding crop. She's still green, and also sometimes they get really distracted when there's nobody around them, and I think that was a case of what happened to her. The second dam was very good. Twist of Fleet, she won the test, the top flight, multiple grade 1 winner, more of a sprinter. But the way this filly did her first race, led me to believe that she'll probably be able to handle the distance, at least going the mile. And I agree, while there are a couple of others who have some more foundation as far as having run at the distance, like the 1, 2, and 3, but I just felt Good Sam might just be a better horse.
Yeah, I mean, Binsky, one of those who won at a mile last time out. It was a slow figure, though.
Yep.
That runner would have to take a huge move forward to contend with Good Sam in here. And you're hoping maybe Good Sam doesn't handle the distance. Fireline came out of that Good Sam race, too, for Chad. Won on Friday, who was 5th in that debut race. She just looks too good for this group.
She does. And I agree, Crypto Mama is intriguing after breaking her maiden at 7 furlongs, which is encouraging as far as her being able to get the distance. She ran, I thought, pretty well going the mile last time out. She was overwhelmed by Almarosa, who was a short price in that race. And to me, the wild card is Foggy Night, because she has a win at Parks going 1 mile and 70 yards, and she just absolutely crushed. And she took pressure early and was dueling in the stretch before she pulled away. And we've seen Butch Reed come to New York, thinking back to VQuest, with some 2-year-olds that are well spotted and could be interesting at this time of year.
She's the one that's maybe a little interesting here. If Good Sam, if this distance is maybe a bit much for her. She's going to be very short priced, though.
I think so, too. I think she's
3
far
to
enough
5,
off the one to
maybe?
beat. Maybe, yeah.
Tempted could be all about Chad Brown. Peter Brandt owns that one as well. Irad with a busy afternoon today coming back.
And he's coming, of course, off of a good weekend. I thought Forte in particular, his ride on Forte was great in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile for Todd Pletcher. I mean, Cave Rock was just second best to him.
Yeah, it's strange. Like going into that race, Cave Rock had a little bit of, didn't finish it off like she did, like Echo Zulu, though.
Right.
Was so much faster than everybody else,
Yep.
but didn't improve at all.
Yeah.
Figure-wise in the races, ran the exact, and the fast was so much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But it just felt like someone was going to step up and take a move forward, and that happened to be Forte.
Big performance from that one. I think he's intriguing moving forward as a 3-year-old, too.
But let's not give up. Cave Rock maybe will.
Very good horse. Yeah, absolutely.
4th race, mile and 16th Inner Turf. It is a maiden special weight. There's a middle pick 4 in this spot. This is one of the more fun races on the card. I think there's a lot of contention in here. You wound up with Confronted, one of several. I like a lot of horses in this race.
Yes.
This is one of them. What'd you like with Confronted?
Unfortunately, I was just told that the 2 is scratched
Okay.
out of this race, so forget that.
All right.
I did like Confronted in here, but a couple of others, so that would bump it up, making it 1935 for me in the 4th race, 1935. I'll give Fly Right another chance. Was a yielding turf course in the Pilgrim last time out. We saw Major Dude switching to the turf for Todd Pletcher be impressive in that race, and he was thrown to the wolves as a maiden. He is, of course, the full brother to Sail By, who was a graded stakes winner also for Leah Giramati, and I thought he just ran too well on debut to completely give up on him. I think that there's some talent in there.
All right. I wound up going to Scramble in here. It's Barclay Tag, just missed by a neck last time out against Activist Investing. This horse has speed to get position. He got that great position early on in this race. He actually fought with Activist Investing, too, and kind of threw down to the wire as they put that rest of the field away. Got a good figure for that race. 3rd start now for Tag and Dylan Davis back aboard. I really like the horse tactically where he's going to be in this race. So I wound up going to Scramble in here. With the 2 coming out, though, going to be certainly one of, if not your favorites in this race.
I thought that the number 9, Ari Gold, was a little intriguing for the same reason. I thought with the blinkers on, that could help him, and not to mention his only turf race. He did drift a little bit too, but he has speed, a little bit green in that first turf race, comes out of the same race as Fly Right and Scramble, and as I just bumped up Scramble, saw that he was kind of on the edge for me because he's run 2 very comparable races, and hopefully he's going to be able to take a step forward. Maybe it's just a case of him being beaten by some nice horses. I thought that this was a really interesting race. You also have the Chad Brown first, or Palace Gate, who has no turf pedigree.
It doesn't matter with him,
but it
usually,
doesn't
right?
matter because usually it's like counterintuitive when Chad runs a horse that has a turf pedigree on the dirt or a dirt pedigree on the turf. It seems to work.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
What do you think? Did you have any opinion on Moonflower? I look at this horse's race, and Rudy had that awful Saratoga meet.
I agree.
This horse chased really slow fractions. Actually hit the gate, and it was pretty significant out of the start in that race. I like the move this horse made. It was last early on in here. And Battle of Normandy, was only beat,
okay.
what, 3.5 lengths in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf?
Yeah, Battle of Normandy, I think, has some quality. Alexis Zorba at the time for Joseph O'Brien was thought highly of. I think that's one of the first races we saw from him running in Saratoga. And as you mentioned, for the barn, Rudy Rodriguez was having a tough time of it. We still haven't seen him kind of get back up to Rudy numbers, but I think we're heading in that direction. This is another intriguing horse. I did think that it was interesting that we haven't seen him since that August 6th 2-year-old debut. I know that maybe sometimes with 2-year-olds, they come out of it. You have to wait to find the right spot. We do see him come back here the first week of November. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the horses for this race.
All right, that is the 4th race 5. It's the start of the Pick 6 carryover. Again, $31,820 starts in race 5. And it starts on the turf at 1.16 here. 30,000 claiming race. Non-winners at 2 life. We have our scratches up on the board. There is a few
6,
out.
12, 14, 16. Is that correct, guys?
6, 12, 15,
15, 16.
Yeah.
Excuse me. All right. So I lost the 12, who I did like a bit in here. So that would make it 11, 3, 8, 1 for me in the 5th race.
All right. I used Princess Blakely on top. The 3 and the 8, I was very torn between these two. Diva Reddy is dropping a class. Actually finished ahead of Princess Blakely for Chad Brown when they met on the grass, and then jumped up to 50.
Yep.
So now it's going to come down. This horse was a vet scratch, though, in early August, which had me a little bit concerned. And I just thought there was a little more upside with Princess Blakely because that was her turf debut, that Saratoga race, when she did kick in a little bit, showed some talent. And figure-wise, thoroughgraph-wise, she's the standout in here of this group.
And it's interesting because obviously she's been a little bit tricky to keep on the racetrack. She started in January on the Tapeta, won first out. We didn't see her again until April. Then we didn't see her again until July. Now she's back here today. But I do think that the turf is actually her preferred surface. In her first race at Gulfstream, I actually wrote, "Will want turf." So did get a chance to get on the grass last time. I thought both she and Diva Reddy made a lot of sense in here. I really was torn. I almost went to one of the two of them and decided to go with the 11 Union Dolly because it's interesting. I know that her one route race was disappointing, but that said, she lunged at the break that day. She was completely eliminated at the start. She always has the physicality of a horse that looks like she wants to go longer than the 5.5 or 6 furlongs that they've been running her at. But she's such an energetic type of horse that I think Ray Handel was saying her demeanor says sprint much more. But the blinkers come off today, which I think is really key and speaks to the intent of them wanting to get her to relax. And you don't have anybody with softer hands than Joelle Rosario. So I thought on the stretch out with the blinkers off, that was kind of the key move for me, and I'm going to give her a shot, hoping she'll be a little bit of a price in here.
And two, I hope they're aggressive with her.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so too.
She's shown sprint speed on the turf.
I agree.
And if she could be forward and front and just relax on the front end, that's when we see a lot of times with that blinkers off move really be the most effective.
Look what happened in the 2-year-old stake yesterday with Moon Age Daydream. I mean, Ray Luke Gutierrez said nobody else wanted the lead, so I just took it. My filly broke sharp and relaxed, and I hope that's what happens with Union Dolly. Her getting out of the gate sometimes has been her Achilles heel, and I think it's because she's such a high energy type. So hopefully those blinkers off will just settle her a little bit.
Sal's Dream Girl on the rail. We both threw this one. I have 3rd, you have 4th. 40 state bred maiden claiming when it was at Saratoga last time out. Showed ability, though, against better prior to that.
Yeah, she's run fine. We can take a look at her last race, a little window dressing for here as she comes off the back of that maiden win. And she found the right spot. I think coming back here for the 30 non-2 is the right place to go to face winners for the first time. I know she's a very special horse for Sal Spadali, named after his dream girl, Mary Ann. And she took a little while to switch leads. That's where that erratic and stretch comment comes from. But she was just really much the best in this race. So we'll see if she's able to build off of it, finally having gotten through the maiden ranks.
It's just tough. I mean, you look at this race and the fact that Princess Blakely just has that one start on turf, and coming from the best turf barn in the country, you expect to see that progression and the upside there with the 3.
Yeah, for sure. My concerns with her is that she's only had 3 starts and there have been gaps in between all of her races. That said, I do think that she comes out of a live race and showing that maybe she is progressing in the right direction on her preferred surface.
We should get the scratches. We'll take a
Yes.
pause, and then we will come back. We're going to pause anyway, and then we'll get into the late pick 5 coming up.
past 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
All right, we are back for the second half of this card in the late pick 5. Let's just really quick, we'll go over the scratches since we just got them in. Race 1, the 4 is out. Then nothing until race 4. Race 4, scratch the 2. Race 5, scratch the 6, 12, 15, and 16. Then we jump to race 9, huge scratch here. The 3 is out, which we'll get to. Scratch the 3 in race 9. And then race 10, the 1A, 2, 3, and 15 are out. So 1A, 2, 3, 15 out in race 10.
All right.
Whew. All right, here we go. Late pick 5, race 6, 1 turn mile, allowance optional claiming group here. Go ahead. You have honors with Kinetic Sky.
I had such a tough time with this race, Greg. I could have made a case for several. I didn't trust several others.
I'm upset at you right now.
Why?
You don't have Horse Stopper anywhere.
I know.
All right.
I had a tough time with this race,
It
truly.
is tough.
I ended up going with Kinetic Sky, who I thought ran a huge race last time behind Shoddy. Always love when we have the opportunity to say that name. And that was going a mile and 3/16, which I just don't think that he prefers. I think this was a good claim for Linda Rice. She claimed him for 35 in the non-winners of 3 condition and immediately stepped him up to much tougher. He's protected again today. I think that he's been consistent overall, and I think that he just fits here. I like the outside draw for him as well.
Okay. I like him too. I was very close to putting him second. I wound up going to War Stopper in here. Just in really sharp form right now. I believe, I don't know, again, I don't know how the workout reports, but a bullet worked last time out leading up to this spot. 47 and 1 move, quickest to 41 in the morning. It was a distant third, but behind a horse who's grade 1 placed in Bal Harbor. Faced Zoomer, who at the time 3 back on dirt. That was a monster effort from Zoomer. He got a 97 buyer.
They ran him in the Whitney after that.
Yeah, and that win at Saratoga. I mean, he's been facing tough company. He's best, I think, at a mile. He's 3 for 6 at a mile. He was 4 wide in his race last time out on that sloppy racetrack, and he's paired up numbers. He's got 2 of the best figures, absolutely the best figures in this race, and we usually see when that happens a big move forward. So because of that, I think War Stopper is the horse to beat. I do think Founder's really interesting for Bill Mott. The 5 getting back on dirt. This horse has been on turf for a while. But look at his dirt races. He breaks his maiden. He beats Highly Motivated. He runs third against Mandel Lown. He faced Essential Quality in the Breeders' Futurity. They thought so highly of him off his debut on dirt. They put him in a grade 1. I like him back on dirt.
He's interesting. He's always been, when he went with Chad Brown and then again progressing in the right direction when with Bill Mott, he's always been a horse that doesn't really carry his weight. He doesn't carry his muscle mass very much. And then last time out, I thought, or I guess I should say his last 3 races, even seeing him at Saratoga, I thought that he'd grown. He'd got a little bit more length to his frame. He'd strengthened up a lot across his top line, which he'd really needed to do. And so because of that, I have a little bit more confidence in him switching back to the dirt. If he was still kind of looking like he was back in 2021, I'd be really concerned about it, because to me, he didn't really have the physicality to suggest that he would actually get better moving back to the main track. And I liked him going long on the turf. He's run okay. He's run some good numbers, but he hasn't been able to break through and get the win. He's the wild card for me in here.
Yeah, even his race in the slop, Belmont last year, that figure he ran, that's quicker than anything Kinetic Skies run, equals what Nabokov has run. So, yeah, interesting horse, 9-2 morning line. Your take on Chad Brown's Nabokov. This horse was pretty highly regarded off that maiden win. Obviously, Charge It freaked in the Dwyer.
Yep.
They put him in some deep waters. He's disappointed after that, though, too. Although he did come back and break his maiden going 7/8.
He did, and I thought that he wanted absolutely no part of the mile and an eighth 2 turns. He's not built like a horse that has that physicality. He doesn't run like a horse that does that. We'll show his last race, where he did beat another highly regarded horse, an Expressman, who had won and broken his maiden at first asking at Saratoga with a 107 buyer speed figure. And I had some reservations about him coming into this race. I preferred Nabokov, in fact, who we will see go back to the mile, which I'm okay with. I just don't want to see him going 2 turns. I think he's a 1-turn horse. So 7/8 to a mile, I would prefer if it was 7. And yeah, he did have to wait a little bit early on, but I thought that he was just able to run down Expressman, who maybe didn't run back to his first race. Maybe it freaked. Maybe it was a track that had just elevated the figure. But he beat a very nice horse. He's facing much tougher top to bottom today.
And we saw Will Sing for Wine for You in the mix, right? The 2? What do you
Yeah.
like about the 2? You have him second.
I am really intrigued by this horse. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for him, so maybe that's why. But he came back off of a big layoff, September of 2021 to October of this year. It was a wet track. He was well beaten by Warstopper, yes, but he didn't get out of the gate very well. He's second off the layoff today. Lascano stays. He had some really strong races before that layoff. I'm hoping second off the layoff we can see him, and he'll be a big price underneath. I just kept going back to him and thinking that we were going to see him step forward, and we see him back in this spot, and I have to imagine there's a reason.
We're going to get Speaker's Corner. Ran against Forza Dioro, who
Yeah.
for a while before he kind of flopped at Saratoga, what was it, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
We thought he was a rising star in the handicap division. He has faced some really tough company.
We'll see if he can run back to it today.
It'll be a big price. Race 7, maiden special weight, 1-turn mile. And we agree. I think the entry is going to be very short in here. Ohana Honor. Did you choose this race? I'm going to see it.
I did, yes. Ohana Honor, we'll show him. He ran in the same race as Big Wicks, and Big Wicks was the only first-time starter in that field, and it seemed to show. He was the only one who didn't have experience. I think that he's going to take a huge step forward today as well. But Ohana Honor was like off the bridle early on in the race, taking a lot of kickback, and then all of a sudden late, things really kind of kicked in. He's obviously a horse that's still pretty green and still figuring things out, and it's right here. He's kind of like, oh, wow, I've got a lot of horse underneath me, and starts running. And he didn't get out of the gate well either. I'm expecting a big move forward from him today.
Yeah, that really late in that race, that gets you kind of excited about him in here. And it's third start, and he has the experience of going a mile as well. Obviously ran big at it. I know I don't have him in the top 4, but I had to bring him up. The other Shug horse, Game Change, this horse costs $850,000. We know Shug gets better with time, and the horse just comes out of that Echo Again race when Echo Again ran that 94 buyer, we thought was going to be sensational, even though he flopped in the Iroquois. I want to see this horse, especially going longer.
I agree. I wrote down for his debut, really big, lots of substance, got a little hot. So maybe he was a bit green. Maybe he wants some more distance. Maybe he needed the race for fitness. The blinkers go on today, too, when he stretches out and Kendrick Carmouche is in the saddle. Kind of leads me to believe that from the rail, they want him to be a bit aggressive. But I'm excited to see that one. There's some nice pedigrees in this race as well. You have Tappet Trice, Mandy Pope, and Gainesway has this son of Tappet. The Dam was grade 3 placed herself, but she's the sister to Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Jaywalk as well.
Who I believe the Dam too won the debut 4.5 furlongs. She was a multiple stakes winner. Graded stakes place routing on dirt, but yeah, that's Jaywalk catches your attention. $1.3 million purchase, and some bullet gate drills as well. Pletcher, and I don't think anyone has good numbers going long with 2-year-olds first time out on dirt, but he doesn't either.
Yeah, which is really interesting, isn't it?
It's a hard thing to do.
It is very difficult. It's very, very hard to start at a mile. And kind of what I talked about the situation with Big Wicks, where he started at a mile, and he was the only horse in that race who was a first-time starter and didn't have that foundation. For these young horses and going a distance of ground, having the race under their belt, I think, is so key. Even as we start to get a little bit later in the year, it was especially prevalent this summer at Saratoga with that tiring track. Experience often is really, really the big key.
You got the 7 in here, too. It's a firster for Chad Brown. The Dam is the sister to 8 Bells. Sensational. A Curlin. And then Chad's other horse, Cascaeus, Full Moon Madness, could be a serious racehorse. Was in that race, distant third, but has a race under his belt. And because of that, maybe give this horse a little extra look or extra credit with some of these big pedigrees with the firsters.
And he was pretty green, too. It was drifting late. He was hanging on his left lead. In that first start, you'd have to imagine there could be some room for improvement as well.
So we're not just handing this race to Ohana Honor.
No, I think it's a tough one. I think
I
think he's the horse to beat, but I think it's a very, very tough one.
8th race. Mile Inner Turf. New York Breds, A Other Than. I couldn't wait to see what you did in here because I thought this was a really
it's
tough
a very
race.
tough race, yeah.
Saratoga Chrome for you, the 6th.
Yes.
What'd you like?
I'm going to take a shot with this one. This is a horse that I have tried to pick her breaking her maiden, it seems so many times, and then when she finally did, I wasn't working in that race when she won towards the end of the card in Saratoga 2 back. In her first start against Winners last time, though, I thought that she ran pretty well. Had to wait a little bit, but I thought that she kept on behind She Is Amia, who came back to win again. We're actually going to take a look at that race because New Guinea comes out of the same race, and taking a look at the start, New Guinea is the one horse, and she just, as Richie often talks about, breaks into that open space inside the gate and kind of puts her behind the 8 ball early on. She ran on well to be second, and finishing third in that race with Saratoga Chrome. I did think that that was a pretty live race, and you've got several coming out of it.
Wow, this horse is, I have her 4th. Definitely
Saratoga
a player
Chrome,
in this.
or?
Saratoga Chrome, yeah. The 2 Clements, for me, as we see this race finish up here, but they have the best figures in the race. Obviously, Waterville could improve. That number she earned last time out, I think she's going to be formidable, but I went to the 4. She's coming out of that mile and 3/8 race last time out, not something that she wanted to do. The race before that, she was in that it's New Guinea, that's how you say it?
New Guinea.
Okay, and Waterville race. Finished just behind those 2, but she actually had the lead into the stretch here. Blinkers coming off today. Another, she's tactical as well, where she can relax, I think, and shortening up to that mile, maybe she's able to hang on and finish today.
It will be interesting as she does cut back. I mean, a mile and 3/8 last time, that was a very, very tough race that she was running against that level of competition. One thing about her is that, kind of looking back through my notes, she's been a horse that she seems like she's very quirky. She'll kind of like freeze in the paddock. She'll start backing up. And I noticed when she was doing that in Saratoga, the groom didn't seem phased at all. So it kind of led me to believe that that's a normal thing for her. So maybe those blinkers on, kind of what we were blinkers off, talking about earlier, will get her to relax a little bit. I agree. I think she's an intriguing prospect as well.
These connections, too. I mean, we don't see them a lot on the circuit. You're going to get all of that 8-1, if not better, probably in this race.
Yeah, Bentley Combs, former assistant to Dallas Stewart. I think a very, very good horseman.
Grade 3, Nashua, 1-turn mile, biggest scratch we have on this card. And we just found out, when we brought you those scratches, we did not know Signator, Shug McGahee, 6-5 morning line favorite coming out of the Nashua. So that kind of changes everything in here.
It really does. Unfortunate we won't get to see him today. If everything's okay, we get to see him soon. I default to Full Moon Madness. I'm still not 100% sold on this colt going the mile distance. He's by Into Mischief out of By the Moon, a terrific Grade 1 winner for Michelle Nevin, and pretty cool that we do get to see her with the son of By the Moon. He was really impressive to break his maiden last time out. I think the stretch out is just going to be the question.
Huge figure last time out, and way quicker than what Signator ran as well. But it was in the slop, and it was sprinting, And you've just felt with Signator at the mile is going to be very tough in here. Yeah, the Dam won the Frazette, won the Ballerina, earned $1.5 million. Might have a lot of talent. I'm excited to see what this horse can do in here. With this one coming out, with Signator coming out, Champion's Dream, for me, the 4 becomes very interesting in this spot. This horse showed speed in the debut, and then it threw this horse into a monster race against Blazing Sevens and Verifying Gulfport in the Champagne.
And it was a wet track, too. I don't think he necessarily loved the wet track that day, and it was a pretty gray, rainy day in the Champagne. He wired the field to break his maiden going 7 furlongs. Not easy to debut at the 7/8, and I would think that would give him a good foundation as far as being able to handle the mile in here today. A bit of a wild card is the number 6, American Speed, for Rodolphe Brisset, who does come in from Horseshoe Indy. He did win at a mile. It wasn't the fastest race of what we've seen in here, but he does have a win at the distance. He showed a lot more speed that day. I just think that he was way and above the best in that field, though.
Horse from, it was, gosh, was it the first? It was part of that early Pick 5 on Friday. Bob Baffert had, I know that his $2.3 million horse looked really good winning, but he had another horse, youngster, on Friday who was pretty expensive as well. I believe same connections, who looked like a lock, who had won first time out. And Brad Cox's horse from Horseshoe Indy winds up beating him. That was a surprise that knocked me out of my Pick 5.
Oh, no.
But don't discount these horses from Horseshoe Indy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, you see some big barns like Rudy, like Brad Cox, Tom Amos running horses there too, and maybe here's a good spot to get them to break their maiden and have some foundation, especially when you have others on different circuits too.
Chance, though, Full Moon Madness is just gone in here from the Royal.
He could be. I mean, he showed a lot of speed last time. Again, that was sprinting. He could just be faster early on, but I will be curious to see what Champion's Dream does in particular. I mean, American Speed showed speed last time. It was a very slow pace.
We close it out on the grass, mile and a 16th, $40,000 maiden claiming race. Big scratch in here as well with More Than Work coming out. Would have been probably second choice in this race from Brad Cox, and now Chad Brown's got a 1-2 punch that looked pretty formidable.
Yeah, I would certainly think so. What a dude. Debuted at this level and was beaten just a neck behind a horse that run several more times in Ambote versus him, and gets back to a lower level to 40,000 today. Most Wanted Man. I agree the drop in class on that one, but more than anything, he's cutting back in distance. We talked a little bit earlier about Chad Brown and some of the counterintuitive moves. I have never seen this horse as a 1 3/8, 1 3/16 type. He's maybe 15 hands. So I love that he's getting a little bit less ground to deal with today.
I am Frankel, Most Wanted Man. When Chad has multiple horses in a race, I just am always so off in terms of what he ran 4 in the Diana.
Yeah.
I used all but in Italian.
Oh, no.
Who ran huge again yesterday, by the way.
She did. She ran a big race.
Yeah, he just has a knack for.
He likes to bring up some painful memories, huh?
I have quite a few. Yeah, most of them at Saratoga. So Chad looks awfully tough here. Maybe runs 1-2 in here. So underneath becomes a little more interesting. Who do you use underneath?
I went with the number 9, Labard, who's dropping in class. I know that last time out, he got really headstrong, and the blinker's coming off today. Maybe he'll get to relax and second off the layoff for Horacio de Paz.
Yeah, I'm with you. I also showed some speed on the grass as well. Maybe it could be forward. I used the 12 underneath as well. I think the 11 is probably the one we don't have on there that maybe if you're going to use, play exotics or supers, tries in here.
He's intriguing.
For Donk, maybe the one to use.
Has a lot of speed, too. I was also intrigued by what we'll get to see from Empire Attraction. First time off a big layoff, and now with Danny Gargan. Just thought he was a little bit interesting drawing Javier Castellano.
All right, well done. That's the card this afternoon.
Yeah.
We got to get ready for the show coming up, so we're going to wrap it up. I want to remind everyone you can play all the action by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets. Match 200, that code to use at sign up. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NairaBets.com. And $25 bonus today. You got to opt in for betting Aqueduct, Woodbine, Santa Anita. Bet $75 each at those tracks. You get $25 in your account, whether you win or lose. Pick 6 carryover, $31,820 begins in race 5. I still don't have the time up. 1:46 Eastern start time for the Pick 6. And then we're on FS2 in just about 15 minutes. 11:30 a.m. start time. You're going to be reporting early?
I'll be reporting early. Looking forward to it.
All right.
It's nice out again.
Yes. We will look forward to the card. Hope you join us, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. And we have mostly cloudy skies here at the Big A. The temperature will be around 70 degrees this afternoon. The main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. The portable rail is up on the inner turf at 32 feet and on the outer turf at 12 feet. And we have a pick six carryover today of $31,820. And right now we'll take a look at the changes for the 10-race card. In the first race, scratch number 4, Burnt Again, scratch the 4. And please note that Joel Rosario is not riding here today, so there's a jockey change in the first on number 7, Words of Praise, and make the jockey Trevor McCarthy. Trevor McCarthy on number 7, Words of Praise, in race 1. In the second race, note that the 7 is 2 pounds over. Today's third race is the Tempted Stakes for 2-year-old fillies, and there are no changes. Race 4 starts the middle pick 4. Scratch number 2, Confronted. Scratch the 2. Jockey change on the 6, Fire Baron, to Trevor McCarthy. Trevor McCarthy on the 6, Fire Baron. Race 5 starts that pick 6. And these scratches in the 5th, scratch 6, Simple Sugar, 12, Command Point, scratch 15, Ice Cold Gold, and 16, Anoint. Scratch 6, 12, 15, and 16. And we have a couple of rider changes. Number 11, Union Dolly. The jockey is now Manny Franco. Manny Franco rides the 11. And number 14, Capital Gal. The jockey is Heman Harkey. Heman Harkey on the 14, Capital Gal. In the 6th race, a rider change will be announced for number 4, Truculent. Jockey change to be announced. In the 7th race, jockey change to be announced on the 5, Summer Cause. Jockey change to be announced on the 5.